Hunting for unbeatable deals on pre-owned PC components is quite the adventure, and online platforms such as Facebook Marketplace amplify the thrill with the chance of stumbling upon local bargains that you can get that same day. Today, I'm genuinely excited to reveal an incredible marketplace discovery, a Dell OptiPlex that I was able to grab for an astonishingly low price of just $25. This OptiPlex, bundled with two older monitors, came my way through a local seller who was clearing out items ahead of a move. What caught my attention right off the bat was the inviting $25 price tag and the unmistakable OptiPlex case. Adding to my curiosity was a snapshot of the PC featuring the rear I/O of a video card. Despite my curiosity, I intentionally avoided diving into the specifics of the PC's specifications. Let's be real, at $25, any setup is a bargain, and I decided to keep an element of surprise in play. Once I had everything at home, my excitement to delve into the PC's insides grew exponentially. But before I popped the hood, I took a moment to do a bit of research on the particular model, the 7020. This OptiPlex version was released in 2014, offering a range of configurations centered around Intel's 4th generation CPUs. The i5 label or sticker on the front panel hinted at some potential. I understood that unless someone had given it an upgrade, I'd probably be looking at one of the many Haswell i5 processors. After sliding off the side panel, I was met with a thick layer of dust covering all of the components. I knew right then that cleaning was going to be quite the task. As I took a look inside, I spotted a 290-watt power supply, 2 RAM sticks, a hard disk drive, and a low-profile graphics card. Speaking of the graphics card, that was the first thing I decided to tackle. Removing it, I was honestly taken aback by just how much dust had gathered within its cooling unit. Nevertheless, amidst the dust, I could still make out the AMD Radeon branding. After some research, I identified this card as the Radeon R5 240, a rather common addition to pre-built desktops as a basic display adapter. It's not exactly a powerhouse with just 1GB of DDR3 VRAM. After that, I removed the 2 sticks of RAM and determined that what I had was an 8GB kit of SK Hynix DDR3. Later on, I discovered that their frequency was a steady 1600 MHz. Before I dove into removing the cooler to get a look at the CPU, I thought it would be worth trying to boot up as it was. After a patient wait of about 20 to 30 seconds, to my surprise, the PC actually powered up and took me all the way to the new user Windows startup screen. This was a relief, confirming that all the components were indeed in good working condition. As for the drive that Windows was running from, it's a hefty 1TB 7200 RPM hard disk drive. While I'm partial to the idea of swapping it out for an SSD to speed up the Windows experience, the fact that this working drive boasts such a large storage capacity adds a decent amount of value to this discovery. Finally, it was time to tackle the dusty CPU cooler and unveil the processor hidden beneath. After unscrewing the heatsink, it became evident that the CPU had never had a recent thermal compound refresh. It was incredibly dry, rendering it most likely ineffective. With a quick clean, I revealed the Intel Core i5-4590 beneath. This chip boasts 4 cores and 4 threads and runs at a base frequency of 3.0 GHz and a boost clock speed of 3.7 GHz. Moving forward with the OptiPlex, my next task was to give it a thorough cleaning. Although this might not be evident in the video, using compressed air on the inside of the PC did manage to clear out a good amount of dust. Regrettably, a substantial portion of the grime required a more hands-on approach. I had to go component by component, wiping them down individually. This meant completely disassembling the entire system. The CPU cooler, which was easily the filthiest part, proved to be immensely satisfying to clean. Honestly, a bit of effort paid off as the OptiPlex gradually transformed into a much cleaner and appealing state overall. Looking ahead, my plans for this system involve future upgrades to turn it into a reliable gaming rig. However, for today's video, my aim is to gauge its performance through a series of benchmarks and games in its current state. This initial assessment will serve as our starting point while also shedding light on the capabilities of these components. So let's kick things off with Unigine Heaven at 1080p low settings. This benchmark is my go-to for testing various components. Unfortunately, the R5 240 did not fare well here, and this trend will continue throughout the testing. With an average of just 16 FPS and a rather sad score of 396, it's quite clear that this system isn't tailored for smooth 1080p gaming as it stands. Moving on to Unigine Superposition at 1080p low settings, the results were even less impressive, managing only 9 FPS on average and a score of 1232. These figures represent some of the lowest results I've personally encountered with the Unigine benchmarks. So we've established that the R5-240, serving as the system's bottleneck, struggles with 1080p gaming, but what about lower resolutions? I fired up Counter-Strike Global Offensive and dialed the settings down to their lowest at a 1280 by 720 resolution. The outcome was surprisingly playable, offering a rather casual gaming experience with an average frame rate hovering around 50 FPS and 1% lows at around 24 FPS. I was genuinely curious to test the capabilities of the R5-240 by running various games. However, I faced two significant challenges. The lack of updated driver support led to game compatibility issues, and the sluggish download speeds on the disk drive further hindered my progress. Due to these setbacks, I made the decision to conduct a more comprehensive GPU test in a different video. Moreover, I wanted to emphasize the time-consuming task of using Windows 10 on an HDD. Tasks like opening applications, downloading files, and even navigating the user interface became sources of frustration. Without revealing too much, it's clear that one of my upcoming upgrades will involve an SSD. In summary, the Dell OptiPlex 7020 in its initial state provided subpar gaming performance and a sluggish Windows 10 experience. However, in the upcoming video, I'm planning to upgrade the system and transform it into a capable gaming rig, so stay tuned for that. Despite its limitations, I genuinely enjoyed delving into the system, uncovering its components, and giving it a thorough cleaning. If you're interested in this kind of content focused on older and budget hardware, I'd appreciate it if you could give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. Apart from my upcoming part 2 of this video, I have a lot more content on the pipeline. If you have any video suggestions or questions, please don't hesitate to leave them in the comments. I value your feedback. Thank you.